Well, hello, friends. You are in for a treat today. Not only because you're hanging out with me, but you get to hang out with my good co host, Mr. Rob Key.
Hey,
And
guys.
we have a great special guest. We have Miss Regina Cannaday. Now, if you don't know her, you really want to get to know her today. One, I really like her title of her company, which is called Bounce Back Indiana. Slightly biased today, guys. I'm sorry. And this company right here is a company. They assist people with unexpected financial hardships. They've helped 48 different churches in the Fort Wayne area, and
Wow.
they are ready to help you with yours. Join us today, Miss Regina Cannaday. Welcome to the show.
Welcome,
Oh my
Regina.
gosh. Hi, thank you. I'm so honored. Really, I'm honored to be here. Anytime I get a chance to talk about Bounce Back, I am there. So thanks for the invite.
Well, good. Well, Regina, I get the pleasure of kicking off the first question towards you. So, my question that I have for you is during all this, how are you staying motivated? I know that COVID especially, was just a huge example of we weren't expecting this. I know some people were expecting 2 weeks and back to reality, but we've since been on this for a little over a month, I think 5, 6 weeks now. So, how are you and Bounce Back committing to the promise of helping people bounce back?
Well, I think first it resonates from who I am as a person first. And that's just part of the gifting that I have been given by God. I was born with this ability to, and more than just an ability, it's a desire, it's a passion to help people in any way I can. And how I've kept motivated, I can honestly say I haven't always had my moments be positive every moment. So let's just be frank about that, okay? But because it was frightening a little bit at first, like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? How is this going to work? None of us have ever experienced this kind of a pandemic before. But how I've stayed motivated is I always go back to what is the thing that it motivates me as a person first. And that's getting into the word. That's worship music.
Yeah.
That's, to me, that's my foundation for everything that I do in life.
Absolutely. I
If
love it.
that foundation is not there, nothing else is either.
That's right.
so let's just be frank about it. So Jesus, prayer, worship, in the word, that's it for me.
Awesome.
You know?
Beautiful. I think that's all you need.
Yeah.
So, okay, question number 2. Now,
Okay.
Regina, this is going to be an easy one. I'm going to cave here because
Okay.
I know that you were preparing to be able to share with us like a favorite book.
Okay.
And so I'm going to ask you, Regina, what would be a book that you would recommend to us while, whether we're still in quarantine when this airs or just to pursue life with a greater resource?
Okay. Well, of course, first, I'm always going to say the Bible. And
Yeah.
some of my favorites there are Proverbs and the book of James, Old Testament, New Testament, because you can't
I'm in
get,
James now.
yeah, wisdom. You
I love
cannot get any
Proverbs.
finer wisdom than in those two
Yeah.
books. But another book that I have read is Christine Kane, Unexpected. It's an incredible book. It's actually a devotional. There's a Bible study. There's some CD and book work, notebook to do a whole study. And I think it's probably one of the things that can prepare you. Life is not always peaches and roses, okay? Peaches and creams. And I had a friend tell me once, Regina, life is a rose, but on that rose, there's always thorns. So we always have to be prepared. And I think that book, the premise of it is leave fear behind, move forward in faith, and embrace the adventure. And boy, there's no
Mm.
greater adventure than what we're experiencing right now.
Right.
And that all comes down to your perspective, you know, and your how you look at things. And do you see a silver lining? I keep trying to tell myself, okay, yes, this is bad, but what's the silver lining as a result of that bad? And what can I glean? And what
Absolutely.
can I take from?
Yeah.
So, and that's what this book, Unexpected, is really all about, to look at life as whatever it gives you as an adventure.
That's
So,
awesome. Perfect. Thank you, Regina.
Yes, thank you. So we talked about books that's on your radar. We talked about bounce back. Let's ease our way a little bit along this conversation. You had mentioned beforehand, before we started recording, that you started in 2014 and then under someone, and then you guys are your own independent company as of 2016.
right.
So I imagine during that time period, there's a lot of guidance, there's a lot of leadership, there's a lot of everything being thrown at you. So now that you've been running your own company since 2016, what would you say has been the most leadership skill? Excuse me. What would you say is the leadership goal that everyone should try to obtain?
Wow. That everyone should attain, because everybody's goals are different.
Exactly.
Um,
Goals. So there's no right or wrong, but
right.
what path do people try to get themselves on?
I would say, wow. Live generously.
Wow. Good.
No matter what industry or where God has you, if we're living generously, and I'm not even talking necessarily financially, generous can be your time, generous can be your experiences, generous can be what you've learned that you can pass down, be it to your family, be it to a coworker, be it to a peer. In another industry, I have had some incredible encounters and relationships that have fed me in these last few years. And because of their generosity, I have grown and I have learned. So I would say live generously.
Wow. That's very concise and so perfect, Regina. With that being said, I'm thinking about the Bounce Back Ministry. And of course, you know, we don't have time on this episode, but you shared some of your story with me. And I know that you'd share it with anybody that would like to ask if anybody wants to contact Regina after this show.
Yep.
But how do you recommend, because life happens. I mean, we've heard that expression, life happens.
Sure.
You know, nobody expected COVID-19. So how do you recommend that people prepare for what seems like unpreparable? What's just, if you could niche it down to one or two things that you would give to somebody and say, listen, the unpreparable is going to happen.
Yeah.
Do this to at least help prepare yourself. What would that be?
Well, I'm a planner by nature. So I like to have my ducks in a row, and I like to have their jackets neatly pressed. I'm just saying.
I have a whole visual picture of ducks in greasy suits.
I'm
Yeah.
picturing penguins right now.
Yeah.
Their suits are already pressed.
Yes. So maybe I should change that analogy to yes, exactly. So planning for that, wow. I think first, is to surround yourself with people that have strengths that are not your own, because no one person can know it all, have it all, be it all. But the wise leader will surround himself or herself with those that do. And for me, is financial people, to have them to be surrounding me to say, Regina, what about this? or people that are really, I like to think that I'm organized, but the older I get, I'm finding the less I am. So to have people that are organized and that people who can think fast on their feet. I'm a thinker and a plotter, and I like to analyze it. So to surround myself with those types of people that are weaknesses for me, that can help me think further ahead than where I'm at in this moment. I think that's critical.
That's
to
great.
have strategic plans for the future. I think that's the best way to go. I mean, because you're right, no one can prepare for what COVID brought. No one. But I think we're all learning things that we need to do and to prepare better.
I agree.
And so for that, there's a silver lining.
Yes, absolutely. I love it. Thank you, Regina. Awesome.
Yes. Well, I hate to say it, this is the final question, but I thoroughly really enjoyed it. And before I ask this question, can I just say how much I appreciate the product placement of the book, how you just conveniently happen to have it just right there, ready to go.
Did I not say that I'm a planner?
Like, okay, I'm gonna switch all my
That's awesome.
For my final question for you that I have, it's pretty much a staple within the HI-5 moment, is if you could choose to break bread with anyone, who would you choose?
Wow, this is the one I've been thinking about this question.
Okay. Should be ready to go then, right?
You know,
I'm teasing.
I should have it, but it's to only have one because, like I said, I like to have lots of strategic minds around me. And wow, I don't know that I can narrow it down to just one. I think I would probably, I know this sounds really kind of strange, and it's kind of like Abraham Lincoln. Why Abraham Lincoln? You know,
that's awesome.
Somebody that was a huge change agent for the world, for our country at the time when there was a loss on either side. Do you know, there wasn't, I don't think that no one came out as the victor, as the winner, but he kept his head and he hunkered down and he did what he felt was right and what he believed in. And we are who we are today because of a man like Abraham Lincoln. And I would like to have break bread and say, how did you do it?
Yeah.
How?
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that answer. We have not had Abraham Lincoln yet, so you are the first.
Yay!
Yay! Well, Regina, we want to say thank you so much for just being with us, taking time out of your day. I know, you know, it's so funny in the midst of this crisis and this quarantine, you don't know how many times we've heard people say, I'm busier now than than before the quarantine. And a lot of it has to do with adjustments and just different things. We're having to do that pivot and shift in different ways. But so we want to thank you. Yeah, exactly. We want to thank you for being with us. And, you know, if anybody wants more information on you, I believe your website is bouncebackofindiana.com, right?
Correct.
Okay, so bouncebackofindiana.com and check out what Regina's doing. Don't forget, they provide relief and hope to people facing unexpected financial crisis. It's a ministry that is much needed, and Regina, we appreciate you and your team so much.
Thank you so much. I love this.
You bet. Well, thank you, and God bless you. And now we're going to do our signature high five, okay? So you ready? Everybody, 3, 2, 1, high five.
All right.